Attack on Titan. This show absolutely blindsided me the first time that I watched it, and impressed me even more so on the second watch, and the third, and the fourth. Prior to watching this show, I wasn't even aware that a story could be so meticulously thought out and well crafted. It is by far the greatest and most impactful piece of storytelling I have ever had the pleasure of consuming. Maybe it's because I'm the type of guy that overthinks just about everything. But to be honest, I don't think I could even accurately express how beautiful this story is to me. The world, characters, story, music, and the ongoing themes are handled with such care and finesse that it baffles me. The world of AOT oddly parallels our own and makes the audience ask and think about some tough questions. And for that, I'm truly thankful. I never really get a chance to fully nerd out about the things that I love, so me making this video is basically an excuse for me to do just that. Now, I have read the manga, so I am aware of how it ends. To be honest, I, like most, have very mixed opinions on the ending. But over a year after the manga's ended, I've learned to sit with it and decided that AOT's most important messages are established well before the conclusion of the series. I'm not here to discuss the ins and outs of the ending. That's a whole can of worms in itself. But what I do want to talk about is just how much the story means to me and how much I genuinely appreciate it. I started watching this show in late 2020, about 2 months before the final season aired, or at least part 1 of the final season. And around that time, my days consisted of class on Zoom for a few hours and then holing up in my room for the majority of the day. Again, I love this story to death, so I'll try to keep this video organized, but pardon me if I go off the rails a little bit. From the beginning, I was completely immersed in this dark, gloomy, terrifying world that had this beautiful mystery surrounding it. The energy the show gave off was completely different than a My Hero Academia or Naruto or Demon Slayer. It was grounded. Well, as grounded as a show about man-eating titans can be. The contrast of the beautiful, bright shots to the depressing dark ones was stark enough to gain my interest while hinting that this world is more complex than a cynical, apocalyptic one. It was a cruel world, but also very beautiful. When it comes to characters, there's plenty of great ones, but seeing as it's his story, we have to talk about the man himself, Eren Yeager. His character development is simply astounding to me, to say the least. I know people have their opinions about the ending, and I do too, but that last chapter is so complex and weird to me that I kinda wall it off and isolate it in my mind, so for the sake of the video, we'll omit it for now. Twisting Eren's stereotypical shonen single-mindedness and black and white form of thinking into what it became was so natural that it's not even really a surprise. Like he said, he's always been this way. In no scenario do I personally agree with what he's doing at this point in the anime. He's out of options and out of time, and I completely understand that, but I could never condone something like worldwide genocide. That being said, seeing how hard Eren is willing to push for his goal genuinely gives me goosebumps in the best and worst way. It's such a sinister twist on the classic never give up attitude that most protagonists have. He's a hometown hero and a worldwide villain. Before I say this, let me reiterate that killing innocent people is never okay, no matter the circumstance. if the world of AOT were real, I don't think season 4 Aaron and I would get along in the slightest. But seeing all of the hardships that he's been through, all of the horrors that he's seen, yet still persisting is so interesting to me. To keep on fighting even when you have every reason to give up and the whole world is literally telling you to lay down and die. As I say this, I try to tread lightly because once the Marley arc got going, I stopped picking sides and was just along for the ride at that point. But the complexity of the issue, when paired with Aaron's twisted yet complete view of the whole thing, is an example of what makes him such an engaging character. The position he's put in is absolutely tragic, and it makes my heart ache for both him and his loved ones. I don't really relate to Aaron personally, but I can only imagine the pain he feels being in his position. There's so much that I've learned from characters like Levi, Erwin, Ymir, Armin, Mikasa, Aaron, Kenny, Historia, and plenty more. For a world that starts off so fantastical, the amount of parallels it makes to real-life scenarios, even early on, is astounding. From Ymir telling Historia to live for herself, or Levi saying right or wrong isn't always discernible in the moment, Kenny saying everyone is a slave to something and that everyone needs something to keep them going. Levi seems to be destined to lose everyone he cares about, but he continues to live on, honoring their memory. Reiner dealing with dissociative identity disorder to cope with his sins. Bertolt accepting the awful circumstances he was born into. Annie not allowing herself to feel for others so that it's easier for her to help herself. Erwin giving up on his dream for others' sake. Sasha learning to accept outsiders along with herself. Connie having to deal with constant betrayal. Jean realizing that others depend on him and he has to step up as a leader. Grisha hating his father for having a lack of fight. Zeke craving a normal relationship with his father, Grisha. Armin overcoming his fears and being brave for the sake of his friends. Mikasa realizing at an early age that life isn't all peaches and cream in the most horrific way. Aaron realizing that he's not that special after feeling like he was the chosen one, but then realizing that they're all special because they were born into this world. Honestly, this show feels like it's a contest to see who can have the saddest backstory. And we haven't even covered Ymir Fritz yet. There's lessons to be pulled from all corners of the story. There's super heavy topics like the cycle of violence and hatred, and then lighter, more typical lessons like Ymir trying to make Sasha comfortable in her own skin. In my humble opinion, it handles some of the relatively smaller, lighter issues with enough finesse to feel natural and fresh. All of the characters have their own goals, whether they're grand or simple, which gives the story a sense of realism. It lets me become further invested in this world. Morally speaking, the show constantly asks the audience to reconsider what side of the spectrum they want to sit on, and I truly appreciate it for that. Illustrating that things are almost never as black and white as they seem. I felt bad for the quote-unquote bad guys in a story before, but I've never had to enter a headspace where I'm not really rooting for any side in a conflict. For me, it was a new feeling. Something no other story had made me feel. Makes me wonder about the objective truths about the world that we live in. Maybe there is none, like Aaron Kruger said. The themes of freedom and what it might cost is always an interesting debate to me. The question of whether it's worth the pain, the struggle, the horror, for a goal that might not even be attainable is one that's had me thinking for quite some time now. I'm not even sure there's a definite answer for questions like that, but I think the message is to seek those answers even if you may never find them. On another note, the details and foreshadowing are incredible to me. I mean, that's what AOT is famous for. I'm sure you all know by now. But the dialogue is mostly well thought out, and several of the series' best episodes are purely dialogue, like Declaration of War, or even the episode where Reiner and Bert are talking to Eren and Ymir on the treetops. Most details for me were caught on my second or third viewing, and noticing them made me grin like an absolute idiot. Completely mind-blowing how some endgame revelations had several seeds planted within the first episode alone. I remember catching the Shingeki no Kyojin title reveal in Season 3 on my first watch, and how I got full-body chills while being so proud of myself for catching it. Little things like that for me are so gratifying as a viewer. It shows me that there was genuine care and love put into a piece of work. And the music. My goodness, the music is perfect. Before this show, Naruto was my number one when it came to OSTs. And to be fair, it still might be. But it's close. Like, really, really close. Yeah, the hype tracks in AOT are cool, but for me, nothing tops the slower, more emotional tracks, just like the rest of the show. The hype is cool, but if it's just hype, it's just like any other show. But the emotion, that's what makes it for me. That's why I love it so much. When the show gets a chance to breathe and flesh out all the emotion in this heartbreaking, tragic world these characters live in. That's what I live for. That's what I watch for. To wrap it up, really, I'm not really sure if this video is too all over the place, but yeah, I guess I really just love this story because it's so different to me. Like every story, it's got a few cliches, but that's not such a bad thing, is it? No, Dragon Ball fans, Eren can't beat Goku. No, he can't throw mountain-destroying Rasengans, but that's what's cool about it to me. The world, characters, even the mystical lore, somehow it all feels so real to me. I'm sorry if I'm hardcore nerding out about this, but I don't really get a chance to do this otherwise. I can't even nerd out with my friends who do watch the show. So, yeah, I just needed an outlet to share how I feel about the series, since this is probably my favorite piece of media I've ever consumed. There's probably a ton of stuff I forgot to say that I'll probably remember as soon as I've hit post on this video. And while the story is bittersweet at happiest, to me, the story represents hope, persistence, love, and a sense of purpose. Is it a perfect story? Some would say yes, others would say no. But to me, it's about as close to perfect as a story can be. I have to thank Isayama, along with everyone involved in the making of this series, because I honestly and thoroughly enjoyed it from A to Z. This series will always hold the special place in my heart when it comes to media. It's still inexplicable as to why I love it so much, but I hope this video helps to understand a bit of what I'm saying. But yeah, that's all I got. So thanks for watching, and yeah, I'm signing out. Have a good one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff if you feel like. Yeah, peace.